fourth grade. Yo, what's up? I know you are hanging tight and really trying to get through this week. And I know it's been a rough journey, but guess what? You're not alone. So I don't want you to feel like everything is just sunshine and rainbows. But today we're going to talk about how you can make it your best as sunshine and rainbows, even through the storm. And so I have to even let you know that Miss Wright has been feeling a little frustrated and, I'm not going to lie, a little tired, a little sad because I miss you guys. But I have to choose to remember to stay positive, to have courage, and to have hope. So we're going to do a fun guidance lesson. As always, y'all thought Miss Wright was going to forget about them guidance lessons. So hopefully your parents are watching this with you and your siblings, and we can all go through this together. So I know y'all see me on my computer screen, and you can see my computer screen. For those in 3rd and 4th that have already seen this, this is just a refresher because I didn't get to all of the other grade levels. So, motivation formula. You know that we have, there we go. Okay, so on our journey during this year, you know that we talked about the reality ride, right? And we talked about staying on the harder but worth it track. So if you're following Miss Wright's mouse, you know when we stay on the harder but worth it track, that's where we can reach our goals, because we got to keep our eye on the goal, and that goal is something that you desire. And some of y'all have said that you want to be a scientist, you want to be a player, you want to be successful, you want to increase your grades. Well, it's really, really hard to do that at times, because when life gives us cannonballs, right? You know, and life throws storms and challenges that happen. Sometimes we respond to them not in the best way. And so when we do that, we take that easy fast and we end up finding ourselves crashing. And the reality is, remember, because reality is real life, it's just kind of like the situation that we're in, you know, this week. And I know that it's tough, and I know that it's hard, and I know it's frustrating, but it's all in the way that you respond to it. So this lesson that we're going to look at today is called the motivation formula. It's about, you know, when you are feeling so frustrated, when you're feeling angry, when you are feeling tired, any emotion that you have, right? Because when we have emotion, there's positive emotions and negative emotions. But think about it. I have never seen somebody with a negative emotion say, oh my goodness, you know what? I am just so glad somebody just called me out of my name. You know, that just makes me happy. No, when we feel upset or we are stressed, right? Sometimes we don't know what to do in our situations. And so it's all in the matter of how we respond. So this lesson, our objective is to take whatever negative emotions that we're having and turn it into positive motivation, because that's how you can step forward. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. So I would normally have you do an activity, but it's kind of hard to do because, you know, this is a video. But one of the biggest things that we're going to find out during our lesson is the power of doing positive self-talk, right? And I know, like, maybe like your parents or, you know, like your leaders or faith leaders or whomever has probably even told you, you know, like, you just got to talk yourself through it. You just got to have positive self-talk. And that's hard, you know. It has to take a lot of practice. And remember, practice, I like to say practice makes permanent, right? So you have to keep at it. But sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, not everybody knows how to really positive self-talk, like talking to yourself, because you might feel like it's silly. So I want you to watch this little girl. I want to take a quick look at her, and I want you to see her positive self-talk that she gives herself.
Look, I can be a shark now. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my moms. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good. Better than anyone. Better than anyone.
All right, so that's a little sunshine that I am seeing this amazing person really giving to herself is just like affirming yourself, just having just some positive self conversation, like, I can get through this, I am smart, I love my family. The more you keep continuing to say those things, which we'll talk about in the lesson, the more powerful your actions will not only be, but more powerful your emotions will be. You could really flip, I guess, the negative feelings that you're having or the negative thoughts that you're having, and you can flip them for the good. So when we look at positive motivation and our motivation formula, okay, I want you to notice this diagram. It's got a lot of stuff in it, right? And Miss Wright is all hands and touching. I wish I had my board, but that's okay. I got my mouse. Miss Wright, use your mouse, okay? So you see storm cloud over here. You see just kind of like this dirty water river. We've got a little boy, help, hey. Over here, you've got, basically it seems like it was a bridge, but obviously it's broken, destroyed. And then you've got some dams over here, right, filtering some stuff. And then you finally got some electricity. So if you look at this whole illustration of something significant that is happening, there's a lot of stuff on it. And I love our Why Try lessons because it's just like life. It's just a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of changes taking place. Right? Okay. But we're first going to start off with, because we got to start at the beginning of our lessons with basically how does all this stuff happen, right? Well, let's first look at one of the first things that tends to happen is that when we go through a storm, right? And when we go through a storm, boys and girls, right? A storm can be any challenge. Like, we're just going to use, for the purpose of this lesson today, we're going to use the example of staying at home, right? Not just to just focus on the virus, but just focus on like not being in school, right? That is a big, huge change. Think about it. You weren't thinking about that yesterday. You weren't even thinking about that last week, just like not being in school. It's mind blowing. It's a huge storm, and it's a huge difficulty. So think about when you have any challenge or a challenge just like this. Sometimes when we have challenges, it can result into a negative emotion, right? And so when we have a negative emotion, think about it. Like I told you, it could be scared, it could be stressed, it could be frustrated, it could be nervous, but it's always something negative. Now go back to what I said in the beginning. I have yet to see anyone, like I said, if somebody calls you, dumb, or, you're a loser, or does something or hits you, I have yet to see somebody just like with a full-blown smile and go, oh my gosh, that was the best feeling in the world. No, when something happens that affects us, or a challenge, think about something challenge is something hard to do or something hard that you're going through, there's a negative emotion that automatically comes out of it because it makes us feel uncomfortable. But the key today is what we're going to talk about is that in life, you have a choice. You have a choice. So look up here. I love where we are in number 2. This is like that process of what we do with change with life, okay? We have a choice. Storm happens. Think about what's happening right now with school. Storm happens. Stick with Miss Wright. Storm happens, right? Something bad happens. Hard for us to go to. We can't go to school, right? We have a choice, right? We have an emotion that comes after it. Some of us are angry. Some of us are stressed. Some of us are scared. We got all kinds of stuff happening. But we have a choice on what we decide to do with that emotion. Yes, we do. And I know some of y'all are probably throwing your shoulders and like, no, we don't. Yes, we do. It's all in the matter of how we respond. So we can either respond in a positive direction, do something more productive, better for me, like really push through it, or sometimes we can respond negatively. And when we respond negatively, that means that basically we just give up hope, and sometimes we may lash out. Sometimes that's physically, we may throw things. Sometimes we may get on social media and just start writing a whole bunch of things. Sometimes we may just be starting to be disrespectful, or yelling at our parents, just aggravated, just why? Because the storm has happened. But I have to tell you, boys and girls, is that when we do that, okay, and we choose to do the negative choice as a result of how negative we feel in our emotion, sometimes we end up finding ourselves, if you look at my mouse, in the flood zone, right? Because we can't move forward. Notice, if I had to choose to stay positive and keep going through this, then I'll be on my journey. I'll be like the reality ride and being able to stay on track, the harder but worth the track. But when I choose to take my negative emotion and do something negative with it because I simply give up and I'm just like, I don't care, I have to be really careful because I can automatically put myself in a flood zone, okay? And so I would ask you, in your mind, you don't have to say it out loud, but how many of us have been in a flood zone? Think about a flood zone. When it is like bad, it's like really, really bad. And when most of us feel like we're in the flood zone, we don't even have our eye on the goal at hand. We're not thinking about becoming a doctor. We're not thinking about being successful. We are just in it for me, and this is just how I feel, and we are just stuck, and we are just not in the best place to get any kind of help. And so when we're in the flood zone, boys and girls, we have to ask ourselves, are we hurting ourselves, or are we hurting others in this process? Okay, because some people may feel like, I'm not hurting nobody. I'm not hurting other people. I'm just mad and I'm just whatever. But think about it. In the way that you even respond as a child, right? And you are, say for instance, I'm just going to make up something drastic. If you just choose not to do your chores, or you just choose not to listen to your parents, during this time, they're doing the best that they can to get some work ready for you, to keep food on the table, and you just like, whatever. You're actually hurting them also indirectly, because they are needing for you to be okay. And so because you're not okay, it affects other people. It affects your teacher, because everybody's trying and rooting and trying to be your cheerleader. But at the same time, you're continuing to not only bring yourself down, but you're bringing other people's down. And then when you're in the flood zone, you have less self-respect for yourself, and your energy dies. You get to a point where if you continue on to have these negative emotions, you're going to find yourself just tired, and then you end up finding yourself in the path of least resistance, which we're going to talk about in a second. So like this little boy, it's like sometimes we get so caught up into our emotions that we have no way of really getting out. We can't see clearly, right? So I want to show you this next picture. This is one of the world's largest dams, and I believe it's in Argentina when I was reading about it. And as we know about dams, it helps to filter water in a great way. So when I think about this river, right, this is supposed to be one big river. I don't know, it looks like a little ocean or a big old lake to me. But anyways, it's a big, huge body of water. But when you think about it, think about what if this machine in this dam was not there? What would happen to all that water? And I know some of y'all that were in my lesson before said this water would actually overflow. And think about, this is like, you can't see it up close, but these are like little streets and stuff. That water would completely just overflow into the cities, just damage everything. So I like to think of dams as a really good support and a good use to help with our water, okay? So you're probably wondering, Miss Wright, where are you going? Why are you talking about dams and why are you talking about water, okay? What I would love for you to think about is water has good uses and it has negative uses as well, right? Here, these people decided to put water for a good use. They decided to put a support in place in order to filter water, because what do we use water for? We use water to drink. We use water to stay healthy. We use water to bathe. All of these good things, right? But water also has some bad uses too if we don't use it in a good way. So stick with me. I'm going somewhere. Here we go. So if we look at water in a negative way, right? Too much water. Look at this water. What has it done to this road? It has destroyed this road. Can you pass through this road? No. It's decayed cement. Tear down, power lines, okay? So now I want you to continue to connect water to emotions, right? Keep on, okay? What do we see here? More bad uses of water, right? It's raining. Raining helps to grow, but when we have too much water, it can actually cause floods, right? And we've seen it. And then if you notice my mouth trickling down, is that you have this water flowing in a direction that it's going through a path of least resistance. It's because water just tends to go wherever it's going to go. I mean, if there is a lower level, should they say, that water will just sink on down. Try it at home. You take some water and you just flow it. It's going to flow wherever it goes. And I like to think about this even with our own emotions in a negative way, right? How many of us kind of flow through the path of least resistance? Like I told you, once we're mad and we are in our emotions, we just whatever with anything, right? Let's look at another picture. Okay. See some bad negative effects of water. That's Hurricane Katrina. Okay. And then I love this powerful photo here because when I look at this, when it's all said and done, right? And going back, stick with me. Like I told you, I'm going somewhere. When it's all said and done and the rain has stopped, right? Sometimes water just sits. And I look at this picture and it's just like, I look at these two individuals, they're having difficulty, they are stuck. I like to say that it kind of reminds me, I'll make a connection of when we sometimes get stuck after everything, has happened, after we have lashed out, didn't listen to nobody. We sometimes stay stuck into what I call, like I said, the flood zone, right? And we just kind of sit there and we're hopeless and we're looking around and everything just seems so chaotic and we hadn't been paying attention. And so when I look at this picture and going back to our lesson, is that how many of us stay just like that couple that we see and just kind of sit there and just hopeless and not know what to do? And so my question that I would love for you to think about, and I'll give you a couple of seconds to really think, is that what do you do next? I mean, if you went back and you look at that picture, right? Okay. And it was funny because I remember one of you had said, well, Miss Wright, I just would swim out. But sometimes it's not that easy. It just depends on how much damage is done. And think about the damage with you, how much stuff that you've done, surrounding different people, just surrounding the different tasks, how many just, negative things have happened. So what do you do in that crisis? And it was to my surprise, and I shared with some of your teachers, I said that some of us get so stuck and we don't know what to do. I know some of y'all said swim out, but sometimes it's not that easy. But what I want to empower you to do this week and into next week, and even when we get back to school, is start thinking about, what is your lifeline? Ask for help. I feel like sometimes, boys and girls, we live in a culture where we just don't, like to ask people for help. It's just like, no, I don't want to, because I think that this person's going to think about me, this way or that way. But I say, if you are stuck, really think about who can pull you out. That's the luxury of help. That's like even why we're in this situation now. So let's go back to you. How many of you could really just ask and think about who's your lifeline? Either your friends or your parents at home, to just open up your mouth and use some I statements and say, Mom, I really feel frustrated. Can you help me? Or I feel scared. Can you help me? Or even your siblings. Because I know some of y'all might be saying, well, I can't talk to my parents like that. Okay? What about one lifeline that you can think about? And if you can't, like I said, and I know some of y'all might be like, it's easy for you, Miss Wright, because you're on the video and you're at home, but I'm stuck at home and I don't know what to do, right? I want you to really, really, like I said, to reflect. Either if it's a neighbor outside, and if you don't have any neighbors, Miss Wright is going to just try to think of a way. And sometimes it's going to take a little bit to what we're going to talk about in a minute, some self-talk, because I'm not saying that it's not possible to pull yourself out, because we talked about that rock bottom resilience. But if you do have a lifeline, how about you use it? And so when we use our lifelines, right, and somebody helps us to pull us out, guess what? That's where that positive positive motivation really, really comes in, because this is where you tell yourself that I am not going to be a victim. I am not going to stay in the flood zone. I am ready to move forward. That's what your teachers are here for. That's what your parents are here for, your neighbors, your friends, you name it. And even if you don't have any of those people, it's yourself. Who are you really doing it for? Think about your goals. So once you get out of the flood zone, right? Then you can do the famous positive self-talk. See, some people like to go immediately to the positive self-talk, and I'm going to tell you, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes that's not enough. I'm not saying that it can't work, but sometimes it's not enough. It just depends on how deep you are in with your emotions. So that's why I say sometimes you got to stop, just sit down and think about who can help me. I had one friend this week reach out to me to really tell me, what she was going through. And I'm so proud because she used a lifeline. Yes, she did. Because of me, she's got tons of support system, and tons of things she could have just did what she wanted to do on her own. But she chose to get out of that flood zone. She chose to ask somebody for help. And now she can have that positive self-talk to get her through, right? So once we get through, we're moving and grooving, right? We're in this next part, okay? And so you're probably wondering, so how do I get motivated? Is that we talk about using the positive self-talk. That's that inner voice, okay? So the change has to start with you. Let me make that clear, okay? You're at home, you're frustrated, you don't want to read. Maybe your mama picking up a packet or something on Wednesday. You don't feel like doing anything. You are just boggled down, right? But the only person that's going to be able to get you through this new state of change, this new normal, is yourself. Your parents are going to be there for you. Your friends, your teachers, everybody's rooting for you. We can do this. We can do this. Ms. Wright putting on all these Project Wisdom morning announcements. But it has to still start with you. They're going to get you out. Think about it. They're going to get you out. But once they get you out, who's going to have to do the work? That's going to be you. Okay? And so, positive self-talk, what does that look like? I always say two things that you can tell yourself. I can, I will. I can, I will. I can, I will. And sometimes you might have that little bitty voice inside your head that is so annoying that says, no, you're not. You can't do nothing. You're going to be mad. That's why you got to do all this work. You stuck at home. You ain't seeing your friends. You have to be careful with that. You have to combat that. It's like you got to go to battle with your mind. And you have to say, I can do my work. I can be a great child at home. I can get through this. I miss my teachers, but I know that I can write them a letter. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do. And so when you start to do that, look at this first dam, right? Remember, dams, they use that water, use that energy for good production, right? So now you're using your emotions for good production. You're filtering. You're stopping all that back negative stuff, and you're filtering, really, really trying to make some changes in a positive way, okay? So when you focus on your self-talk, you also focus on the things that you can control, right? And so then we start coming down, right? And I love how, I don't want to give it away. I got excited, okay? So I love how we got to go to the next dam, right? Because sometimes we think just positive self-talk is enough. Nope, it's not. Okay, didn't say it's gonna be sunshine tomorrow. You can get off this video and say, I'm gonna be a great child. I'm gonna make homeschool the best. I'm gonna make the best of this, and then I'm not gonna say that something bad's not gonna happen till tomorrow. What I'm saying is that you have to continue practicing and you have to continue filtering. So, and filter means you got to weed out. You got to change out. You got to change out the negative thinking and put more positive in. And so the next opportunity that you have to do that, which would be this second dam, is that you got to have some character and heart. And this takes a lot of practice, right? Okay. This is where you start looking in the mirror, boys and girls. Yes, look at Miss Wright. You start looking in the mirror and you start thinking about who you are. Why are you here? What's your purpose? What are you trying to do, right? And so when you're looking at your character and you're going through these positive emotions, you don't give up out of respect for yourself, because you've got goals, you've got dreams. Just because this whole virus has happened, just because you are not in school, does not cut back on the freedom and the opportunities and the things that you like. No, it doesn't cut back on that. Okay, so you have to build character, and you still have to build heart for yourself and know who you are. And that comes in more with, having that positive self-talk and having that respect for yourself. So when you feel empowered because you're doing kind things, you're a kind person, you know who you are, you know what you want to be, you know how you're going to get there. Look at that. You're going to continue filtering. And so when you go through the next thing, what do you notice that has happened here? Let me see if I got my little drawing tool. Miss Wright like her drawing. Ooh, look at that. Okay. So I want you to notice what's happening right there. Okay. If you notice that. Okay. A lot of y'all have said, and I hope you notice, that the water changes color. You know why? It's because you are continuing to filter. You are continuing to make change. I didn't say it was going to change overnight. It takes practice. And the more practice, the more better you become, the more better you feel. And so then we move on to, I'm going to move myself, right? Okay. Until our next, which is meaning that you go through the next dam. You're continuing to filter, weed out that negative thoughts. You're able to see clear. Look at that blue water. You're able to see more clear. You're motivated. You got some character. You have some positive self-talk. And now you have 3 important things that you're also going to focus on: passion, purpose, and interest. This is when you, boys and girls, look outward. Look outward instead of looking just at the problem. You stop looking at the problem. We can talk about the problem all day, right? But you start looking outward and towards things that you can do and things that you have control over. So when we talk about passion is something that you really especially love to do. Maybe you love to, play baseball or play video games or love to read. Start thinking about that. But Miss Wright, I can't go out to the field. I can't do this and I can't do that, and I don't have that luxury. Maybe you have a computer or some type of access at home to research, your favorite baseball players or look at some previous games. I know I've been looking at all the sports network and nobody's playing, but they're playing all of these old games. So maybe you can practice that. Or maybe you say, Miss Wright, I don't even have technology, or, I don't have this. Maybe you're sitting at somebody else's house watching this video. Maybe you can have an imagination, practice swinging, whatever it takes. Think about purpose. Okay. Purpose, say purpose. Something you are especially good at or have a talent for. Think about what you have a talent for. This is where you're really dreaming big. And then the last but not least is interest. Something that you would really like to learn, to do, or to become. Okay? So passion, purpose, interest. What is that? This is an awesome time to really think about that. Make those dreams come true. Write it down. Make colorful pictures about it. Do something with it. Share it with your family. Share it with your sibling. I know it's sometimes crazy to talk to your younger siblings, but maybe have a conversation. What do you want to be when you grow up? Just having, great conversation starters with your family, right? Because you're focusing on that. So again, here you go. You're still filtering those thoughts, and you're making more productive actions, and turning that negative challenge, turning that negative emotion into positive motivation. And so when you get here, the last thing that I'll leave you is getting plugged in. Okay. So once you have your positive self-talk, you've got your character, you've got your heart, you know who you are, you're doing the actions, right? Because you got to do the actions. It's like you got to do kind things, say kind things. You're not doing it for nobody else. You're doing it for yourself. You're moving and grooving, and you're having your passion, your interest, and your purpose. Then you want to get plugged in. And getting plugged in, okay, on this part, is all about having a great support system. And this is where I say getting other people involved. I don't know if you're able to go, outside, or if I don't know, how things are, like in your house with your siblings, but just getting plugged in with your parents. I ask you to reach out with your parents and make sure that they are aware constantly of what's happening with you and how you're gonna, do and attack the week and make it in the most positive way. You know, helping mom out, helping dad out, helping yourself out, right? Okay. And so when you're doing all these things, right? Hold on. I got one more thing I want to show you. Okay. So when you're doing all these things and you're thinking about who you can get plugged in, these are the people that can help you. So, mom, how can we successfully get better at this week in doing this? Do you need this? Or do you, mom, I'm struggling just with this stuff that my teacher has put on this exam. It's like really, really frustrating me. Can you help me with that? Then when the storms continue to come, guess what? You already got the motivation formula to do what is needed. So I hope that this lesson has really, really helped you to really look within yourself, think about and reflect about the negative emotions that you're having and how you can change that into positive motivation and the work that has to come with it, because it has to start with yourself. And I know that it's tough, and we're gonna, do a recap next week and talk about some things that you've been doing to help with that. But I really, really, really hope that, my words are influencing your actions and that you're able to get something out of this. And so if you need to talk to me, your parents should have my email and also the links in order to get in contact with me. I would love to chat with some of you guys. And so I hope that you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week on our next guidance lesson.